Hello, welcome back to class. Now, this is a science class. Science is beautiful because we look at the things that we see around us. And one of the things that we see around us is, and we use every day, is water, food, water, food, water, food, water, food. Anyway, these are two key important things in life. Now let us look at what we call the water cycle. The water cycle is important. Now, what is the water cycle? Well, water cycle involves three things, and those are the three things that we want to look at in this video. But before we go to those three things, we want to know what the water cycle is. First, what is a cycle? A cycle is somebody is cycling. Somebody is cycling with a bicycle. They're going somewhere. The wheels keeps running round and round and round and round and round and round. They're cycling. So a cycle is something which is endless. In short, yes, something endless, something which has no end. Okay, just as the wheels of the bicycle, they keep on rotating over and over. Do they ever finish? Not until the vehicle stops. The bicycle stops. Now, the water cycle does not stop. It continues over and over. Now, the water moves from the ground to the sky. From the sky, falls back as rain. Again to the sky. From the sky, falls back as rain. Anyway, I have a chart here. It's showing the water cycle. There's my sun here. Okay. So I have got the sun here, I have the water body here, I have the water here, there are trees around, trees, the rivers, the lakes, you can name them, so many things where we find water. So the sun heats here, when the water is heated, it evaporates, it goes up to the sky, forms clouds, again the clouds causes rain. It rains again, the water again starts evaporating, going to the sky, again forming clouds, rains, so it continues going like on and over like that. That's the water cycle. Anyway, let me show you something interesting here. Wow, I don't like giving too much notes, so they are very brief and to the point. Like to keep it cool, straightforward, and not complicated. Here we go. So the water cycle, I said, is the endless movement of the water from the land to the sky and back to the land. Not only does it enter the land, again back to the sky, like I have already shown. Now there are three things like I mentioned. Let's look at them. The first one is evaporation. Evaporation. Yeah. You know, I showed you in my chat here. Say it. Okay. I showed you that when it's hot, the sun heats the water. Okay? Actually, one day I was cooking. Let me give you a short story, just a short story again here. One day I was cooking. What was I cooking? I think I was boiling water for something. So I was boiling water, there was a lid on top of the pot, and then when I went to open the lid for my pot, lo and behold, there were water droplets under the lid. There were water droplets under the lid, and there was water droplets under the lid. Where there's water in the pot, there are droplets on the lid, under the lid. How? So that's actually what happens. So when the water is heated, it changes from water to gas to vapor. We call it water vapor. It changes into gaseous form. It becomes gas, which we call water vapor. Okay. So When the water changes from liquid to water vapor, we call it evaporation. So evaporation, in short, is the change of water into vapor. Okay? Now, when this vapor touches the surface, reaches a surface which is cold, okay? Remember, it was hot burning inside the pot there. So it touched the top of the lid there, it was a bit cool. So when the water reaches, touches the surface which is cool, it will change back. It will change back to water, okay? So that vapor changes back to water, okay? So what actually happened when I was boiling that water is that vapor which had evaporated, when it touched the top of my lid, since it was cold there, it changed back to water and formed those droplets. Okay. Now, when the water changes, when the water vapor changes, it changes from that vapor back into water. When that change happens from water vapor back to water, that's what we call condensation. Condensation is here. I'll show you. Okay. Okay. See what I was saying. Condensation, when water vapor changes back to liquid water. Liquid water, don't just say water. Even vapor is water. So liquid water. So when this water vapor changes back to liquid water, we call it condensation. I don't want to waste too much of your time. Let's look at precipitation. Now, what is precipitation? Precipitation, you see, these clouds that I had shown you at first, they do this. So, you see, this water vapor, it formed clouds when it went up there, okay? It formed clouds, okay? Having formed these clouds, it later on falls as rainfall. Comes the rainfall, hailstones, and snow. Snow falls back as snow, okay? Back as snow. See, you wake up, you go outside in the morning, or you see, the closer you are to too much water, the higher the chances of experiencing snow. So the countries which are closer to large water bodies, oceans, they usually get to have snow on their coast. So that water which had formed clouds, it falls back to the land again as snow. It falls back to the land as rainfall. It falls back to the land as hailstones. Now, these three things that I have mentioned, rainfall, hailstones, and snow, they form what we call precipitation, or they are what we call precipitation. Okay, that's precipitation. So precipitation is rainfall. Okay, precipitation includes rainfall, hailstones, and snow falling back to the ground. Okay, back to the ground. It sinks into the land, into the trees uses it, the land people drinks, uses it, evaporates back again to the sky, starting all over the cycle again. So the cycle continues over and over. That is the water cycle. So anyway, wow, that brings us to the end of our today's lesson. It was interesting, I guess. So we have looked at three things. What are those? Evaporation, when the water changes, you know, from the boiling pot to gaseous form, that is what we call that, water vapor. Yes, from liquid to water vapor. That is evaporation. It happens even outside as I'm speaking right now. Check it, you cannot see it. The water is evaporating from the grass, the trees, going up. You can't see it. So that's evaporation. Water changing to gas, yes. And then that same water vapor that evaporated changes again back into water, that is condensation. So from evaporation, from the water vapor to water again, that is condensation. And when now it finally falls from the clouds, rainfall, boom 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 boom, 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 boom. That is it. Precipitation. So precipitation includes, we said three things. That was hailstones, snow, rainfall. Wow. In my next video, we are going to look at plants. We shall look at plants. Now in plants, we want to learn how the plants uses this water. Want to look at some of the things that even our bigger boys and girls learn. That's photosynthesis and this whole thing, transpiration and other stuff. So we want to learn